What is so special about you that black women carry you higher than all the other black women that are practicing this holistic and wellness? What is so special about you?
Well, as I said, the way I was raised, but also because I have a great love for my people. When I came here 20 some years ago, I didn't come with a group. I didn't come as a tour. I came by myself because I came to live. And then I went to go to the slave castle. So Joe Mensa took me to the slave castle and he left me here for 2 or 3 days. I stayed at a hotel and I went to the slave castle and I got a lot of information. I didn't have a tour guide. I was just left to go and walk in the slave castle. So I said, ooh, my people. The women, I saw the dungeon and I saw the thickness of their fecal matter. It's hardened. And there's no lights there. And food was thrown in. If you ate, you ate. If you didn't, you died. And some women were pregnant when they were stolen and put in there. Some women had their menstrual flow in there. And there were men in another area, the same thing. And so my love from that, I don't believe the word fall in love, but I began to love my people on such a high level. And it had me to say, no matter what they go through or how they react to me, I am going to love them to the ends of the earth. I made a commitment because if someone has been beaten and raped and I can see it and I can see the slave ship and then I could see the door of no return. I saw it and how we was dropping. I think about Bob Marley. We were dropped into the bottomless pit. And we see images of us. We were stacked up like sardines and chained. And then sometimes in the day, we was able to come upstairs and see some light and they'll throw water on us and disrespect us. And they take some of the women, the ones who ran the ship, and they would rape the women. And 3 months up in the dungeon, 3 months or more on a ship to go. Some went to the Caribbean. Some dropped off in the UK. Some dropped off to the United States. And then 400 years, 8 generations of more rape, more abuse, more. What can I do for my people? I would do anything. So I have such an incredible love for my people. So I hug them. I listen to their pain. I tell them what they could do to relieve that pain, whether they take a healing bath or burn frankincense and myrrh or forgive their parents. Or, I just work with them. I have gathered so much in my 54 years of what to say and what to do, but I have respect for them.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Clevy Joe. We are in the diaspora transition. We are trying to bridge gap between diaspora from all over the world and Africans as a whole. Today we have one of the best, our mother, our sister, our queen with us, who seems to be coming to Ghana for a very long time, but now I have her in my midst. And as usual, Clevy Joe, if I have a celebrity, we have to celebrate a person. In place of Queen Efua. Queen,
Yes, thank you.
welcome back home to the motherland.
So happy to be home.
I'm so happy to see you.
Same here. Thank you.
Well, Queen, I know you are popular, but we still want to know much about you. People, there are kids that are also coming, growing up, they don't know you. So maybe if you can introduce yourself to us, who you are, what you've been doing for the past years.
Well, thank you. I actually came to Ghana approximately 25 years ago.
Wow.
And I packed up everything, my whole life, and I relocated. My children, I kept them with my mother until I could reestablish myself here in Ghana. And I was brought here by Joe Mensa. Joe Mensa was a very famous artist throughout Africa and Europe at the time. He made his transition, he's now an ancestor. But he brought me here because I helped him so much in wellness. And I was his colon therapist and his nutritionalist and a natural healer. So that's what brought me here. He wanted to actually start a healing village with me heading a healing village, a holistic village.
Right.
But destiny sent me back home to my other home. This is my home.
Yeah.
But sent me back to the United States.
Which is America.
Yes, which is America.
Yeah.
And I had to write there. I wrote now 7 books. And I have been a writer for 30 some years, but I'm a healer. I'm a natural healer for 54 years.
Wow.
And I've taken maybe 1 million or more of our people to the world of holistic health, which is African natural lifestyle, as far as I'm concerned in my studies.
Absolutely.
So I've taken our people to the journey of Heal Thyself, which was the beginning of my work. And I had a wellness center in Brooklyn, Heal Thyself. I wrote a book called Heal Thyself. I had a product line, formulas for Heal Thyself, because I healed myself naturally with
Absolutely.
the grace of the Most High's guidance.
Hmm.
Well, I started on this journey as a teenager at 16 years old because I was extremely sick and I needed to get well. I didn't know how. I didn't know that nature was going to heal me. But I went on a 3-day retreat in upstate New York and I started to take my journey. And after taking my journey, I got rid of several diseases, which was astounding to me.
Mm.
The asthma, chronic asthma, gone in the
Right.
12 weeks. The headaches I would get, the arthritis, the stress levels, the sleep apnea. I had a list of female disorders, pain every month. I had a list of issues that had to be rectified. I didn't know that natural healing could do it for me.
Wow.
But I detoxed from toxic eating, foods, junk foods, processed foods, meat, dairy, white flour products, and I cleaned up and I did much cleansing and fasting and juicing and natural living. Well, once I got healed, I started to study deeper and I became a colon therapist, a certified colon therapist.
Yeah.
I became a yoga teacher. I
Mm.
became a herbalist. I started to teach food as medicine is my specialty.
Wow.
And so from then to now, I have actually, in a few weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, I have 7 small books coming out at the same time.
Oh.
Yes, it's a series.
Well, maybe I will take chances to absolutely promote these books that are coming out on
Yes,
my channel for people to see so that they can also patronize it.
yes,
Yeah.
I would love that. And the title of all the books is Wellness City, and that represents food is medicine. Food is medicine is my specialty. What we eat can make us sick or make us well. So we
Absolutely.
actually have power to heal ourselves. From a cucumber, that helps to heal the kidneys. Celery is good for the skin and the hair. Ginger is good for circulation. Cayenne pepper as well, vitamin C and circulation.
Hmm.
Greens, eating greens from the garden, that helps to repair our immune system and our energy flow.
Right.
So everything we eat is either going to make us negative or positive, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Absolutely.
So that's my specialty. So in one of the 7 books, it's called The Soul Food Vegan Kitchen. And in that kitchen of Food is Medicine, there's an international soul food kitchen. So I have donations of soul food, Caribbean food, soul food, Nigerian, African food, Ghanaian food,
Yeah.
soul food, African American soul food,
Hmm.
and Spanish soul food. Because really, the soul food is the flavor that you're familiar with in your culture, the taste, the seasonings. That's what makes it give the culture. So if you can take a vegetable, and depending on your seasonings, the aroma that comes out of it, the flavor, the taste, the texture, that connects you to your culture. So I have us to go study that and look at what foods are we eating
Right.
and what foods can we eat from nature, from garden, from ants, from plants, all of that to begin to restore our health so we don't have to suffer from diabetes.
Absolutely.
There was a sister here I'm here as a result of a Sacred Woman 1-day, well actually 2-day retreat. And the men came in to be a part of that. And so we ended up doing, today on this land, we went to the ocean and we had a wonderful experience. One of the women was saying in the group, it was women in the main circle, about 40 of us. And then we had about 7 men. I told them to come as protectors, right? But then one of the women started saying, well, why does it have to be men here? Why couldn't it be private for women? I said, women talk all the time. We heal all the time. We have our groups all the time. Men don't have this. But I didn't say that conversation when I said, oh, she's upset, right? So that means she's angry at either her father, she's angry at her mate. There's some anger there. So
Right.
instead of going and doing yoga and movement and breath work alone, I said, you know what is going to heal us is the heart. If
Absolutely.
we have a broken heart, a wounded heart, we can have high blood pressure, we can have a stroke, we can have an aneurysm, we can
Right.
get obese. It's because we start to eat what we feel,
Absolutely.
right? And that turns into poison because we're
Right.
angry.
Right.
So what ended up happening, I asked the women to bless the men first. But before I did that, I asked the women, any of you here have been abandoned by your father? And they said, 5 or 7 women said, I never saw my father. My father left when I was 2, when I was 5, all of this. So then I said, any of you who've had violent relationships in your mates? Another group of women put their hands up. Okay. So I want you to now practice forgiveness. Because if you don't forgive, it's going to harm you. You won't have a healthy future. And you're going to attract more unhealthy relationships.
Right.
So the men were there. I asked the men to come close. We prayed on them. I lifted the women up and I asked the women to speak what they felt. And then after they cried, the women began to cry. My father, he wasn't there in front of the men. They were grandfathers, they were there, you could see. There was young men, there was mature men, there were all ages. So I said, speak to the fathers that are here. And after they spoke to the fathers, the women started saying, I forgive you, will you forgive me? The men said, I forgive you, will you forgive me? And we became each other's family. And so at a certain point, the women began to trust and the men began to trust. And the women went over to the men and I said, I want you to go hug your father.
Wow.
I want you to go hug your son in forgiveness. I want you to go hug your grandfather. And so everything opened up and the hugs started to become family.
That's so powerful.
It was a very powerful thing. And some of the men started to cry because one man said, they took my children away. She took my children away from me. So I said to the women, I said, you think it's only the women that are hurting? Our men are also hurting.
Right. Just that they don't
So
talk.
there's a lot of forgiveness that we have to begin so we don't keep on proliferating the same issues over and over again. And yesterday I did a workshop, Sacred Woman, and I said, you know, when you end one relationship and it doesn't end well, you get upset.
Absolutely.
You get another relationship, it does not end well, you get real upset. And you get another relationship and now you're mad and now you're angry. And that's part of the angry syndrome. So in saying that, I said we have to unravel that. And we have to really open up our hearts because if we don't, our children will continue that legacy.
Right.
You know, so that's some of it. But my point of being here also is to return home. And we have to feel comfortable being here in our home. And to have the diaspora come together and the born Africans here, that unity, which is what I experienced since I've been here, has been so necessary. So it's not just women and men. It's our past not being connected to our motherland, not being connected to our people. That also has to hear. It's not just your father that you have not had or your mother was inactive in your life.
Right.
It's also your homeland. So that's a part of our medicine. So we're here together to get our medicine.
Ooh. You know what? This very interview is going to be a fusion of America and Africa as a whole. But Quinn, you know, you were in Ghana, you were in Africa. You said you are back to the motherland. We'll talk about that. But what really inspired you for you to go into this holistic and also wellness career?
Well, I'm here. My father was a Garveyite. My mother was a Garveyite. And both of my parents were civil rights activists. And growing up, I was at Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream march on Washington. It was in 1963 or 4. And I was 9 years old. So I was raised to be culturally conscious and to love my people. I was
Right.
raised that way. But what led me into holistic healing is because, as I said, I was extremely sick and I was seeking wellness. Now, when I got well, then I said, wait a minute, it's not just me who's sick. I see people walking down the street with canes and wheelchairs. I see people with respiratory issues and mostly women with womb pain, fibroid tumors. So it led me to stay in this work because it was a great need.
Right.
It wasn't just my need to get well, but it was my people's need. And when I wrote the book, I wrote a book that's in the world. It's in 3 languages. This is the book. I'll just show it to you. This is Sacred Woman. So
Whoa.
this Sacred Woman book is based on African natural lifestyle, taking the work from antiquity, natural healing, and bring it to the present time. And what can we do to heal our condition? So it's a book of holistic medicine. My primary work has become womb healing because in 2000, when Sacred Woman was written, 45% of Black women had fibroid tumors. In 2024-25, 9% of Black women have fibroid tumors. How did it get worse? We have technology, more education. That has not helped us.
Right.
We've gotten worse. But you know what also has been growing? The fast food industry. The fast food industry has been growing, and we have been too busy to eat well. We eat and run.
Right.
We
It's
eat
full
on the
of
run, we eat
junks.
on the go, we grab and go. We don't eat healthy. And after a while, you keep eating toxic substance all the time.
Absolutely.
You're going to grow a cancer. You're going to grow a diabetic condition because we are constantly eating. If you eat some fast food on occasions, that's one thing, but now it's become more of the norm. And then even if we're not having fast food, we're maybe frying our food. If you have fried foods, whatever, even if it's fried vegetables, it clogs up the artery to the heart. You have a heart attack. That fried, it's like if you have plumbing and you put grease into the plumbing, nothing after a while, nothing's going to go through. It's going to be a backup. That's what's happening to us. There's a backup in our system.
Right.
So I have developed over the last 54 years, I've been teaching this word, techniques based on nature to help to resolve just about any issue. Now, I want to give this disclaimer. If one is seeing their physician, they should continue to see their physician. But what happens if you take on a natural healing approach, a month, 2 months, 3 months, a season of working on yourself, heal thyself principles, when you go back to your physician, the physician will say, I see you have improved. We can start cutting back on your medication because the person began to do what? Heal themselves.
But Queen, talking of healing per se and your experience in this healing and also this holistic and wellness lifestyle that you have, I've interviewed more than 400 diasporas on my channel. And the challenges that I sometimes face is that sometimes when they come to Ghana, they intend to bring their culture to Ghana. Their eating habits that they have in America, they intend to bring it over here. I personally says, Africa, we have a real food. But maybe other part of the world, I don't know what they have. I classify them to be having this junk food. But when they come to Ghana or Africa per se, when you give them the local food, almost 80% of them doesn't like the local food. Meanwhile, the local food contains a whole lot of nutrients that would even heal them, that will even develop their body, that would take, excessive carbons away from their body and so forth. They don't seem to like it. So you being in this very industry for a very long time, how would you advise people living in the diaspora to also heal themselves before coming to Africa? And secondly, how would you also make sure that people that are living in America or maybe the western part of the world will also have access to good food in terms of, Africa, what we eat, for them to also have access to something good aside taking this junk food and so forth? How would you also encourage them?
Well, before they came, well, first of all, we're stolen people, 400 years. Stolen off of our land, our culture, our food, our language, our natural medicine. So we have been far removed. So to come to the motherland, we have to become reacclimated. We have to learn the tradition, which is our tradition,
Right.
our culture, the various languages, the norms. So how we do things in America, in Europe, in The Caribbean is different because 400 years, that's 8, 9, 10 generations
Right.
far removed. So to come to the foundation, it takes some readjustment. It takes working together. And what also ends up happening, the ones from the diaspora, they cling together. So we don't get a chance to really grow and heal together.
Right.
And then the born Africans here, they're looking at us as foreigners. So you have this happening where if we start to work together and grow together and heal together, then we become one. I've experienced it here. Just yesterday, for example, I asked how many of you were born here. So 80% were not. They came from the Caribbean, they come from the United States, they come every separated place.
Right.
And there was maybe 10% that was born African. The one who clung to me the hardest and the strongest, she's born African, because I see myself as one.
Right.
So what happens is there's always a separation. It's this clan, it's like in Sacred Woman and Man Heal Thyself work, we have the Muslims, Sacred Man, the Muslim Sacred Woman, the Muslims, Christian men, the Muslim Christian women. We have the Hebrew Israelite man, Sacred Man, Man Heal Thyself, and the Hebrew Israelite Sacred Woman, and the Yoruba man, and the Yoruba woman, and the Akan man, and the Akan woman. So we have to actually come together, and that's unity. When we have unity, we'll have unity in our food. When we have unity, we'll have unity in our culture. And then we start, like one sister, she came this morning, she said a Christian statement of giving praise. She said, oh, I shouldn't say that. I said, why not? We're one people. You be comfortable sharing how you pray, because praying people can unify. Healed people can unify, as opposed to finding all the reasons to separate is
Right.
what got us into this situation. So we have to Africa unite. We have to diasporas unite with those born Africans here. We have to also bring our best quality of foods also together,
Absolutely.
so that we can heal together as a people.
Right. Well, you made mention of forgiveness earlier when you were making a scenario. Let's bring it to this perspective. Me being a man and I have a wife. Do you think that something that has happened 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago should be brought back to in our current situation for us to talk about, if you are talking of forgiveness?
Well, if we don't, we sometimes think because we're in a relationship that the relationship is really over. You can leave a relationship and carry that relationship with you to your grave if you did not learn from it, if you did not have a chance to reflect, to process, to understand how was that relationship even created. Because we attract who we are. That's what I have found. We attract our pain body to another pain body. We attract a violent word with a violent hand. We walk into any space, and wherever we are in our walk, people are going to be drawn to us because there's common ground. Positive common ground or negative common ground. It's a detraction, it's a connection. So you could end a relationship and still be in the same relationship you had 5 years ago. And you could get married to someone else and you're still living out that relationship 5 years ago because you're still angry. So how do you clean that up so you don't carry all that baggage into every relationship? You have to take time to reflect. Don't jump to another relationship because you just want somebody to be with you. Give yourself a season at least. It may take a few seasons to reflect and to think. That was a negative relationship. And I've had more than one negative relationship. You start to see a pattern. And that pattern keeps building up. It actually gets worse. If you don't heal from it, then you get another one that's worse than the one you just left. And then you go to another one. You keep looking for peace. You keep looking for joy. You keep looking for what you don't have. You cannot get what you do not have. So that time that you're in a relationship, that is the time to do the healing.
Yeah, but Quinn, how do you approach somebody physically, emotionally, and spiritually in your wellness?
How do you approach them? When you say how do you approach them, what do you want?
You know,
What?
there are a whole lot of approach of how to convince somebody in terms of what you are saying. Sometimes these couples are having issues with each other.
Yeah.
One might be kind of very rude to the other.
Hmm.
There are situations or maybe cases where either the man doesn't want to talk much about so many things in a relationship, the man is just a quiet person, or either the woman is a quiet person, but one of the couple has been ranting, insulting and so forth. So if you are the one healing the two people together, what are the things, or how do you approach those kind of issues when it comes to you?
Well, one of the things is, which is I believe this is African culture on its highest level, is that you bring in the elders. You need counseling. You need help, and not the elder on just one side of the family. You bring in a father who is healthy mentally, emotionally. You bring in a mother, or you bring in a grandmother, or you bring in a grandfather, or you bring in an auntie, or you bring in an elder of the community because you need help. All relationships need help. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a village to help a family, a man and a woman, to stay together. Because when you get married, you're not getting married to an individual. I believe that's part of our culture, that you're getting married to a family. So it's actually family to family. So it's up to the family to help to nurture that couple who's just learning how to be with each other. So if you keep everything to yourself, that's when things fester, harm happens. If there is a problem, you go to the elder. They sit down with the couple, and the couple share, this is what I'm going through. I don't know how to deal with this. He doesn't talk to me well. She doesn't respect me, and bring that to the couple. Now, the agreement in that situation is that you must take the advice of the elder. If you know that's a wise elder, then you take the advice of the elder, and the elder will help to cultivate as a counselor. There's a marriage counselor. Sometimes you have to go to your priest or your priestess. In this case, you can go to your family, parents representing both sides. And by using that, then nothing is hidden. It's not a secret. We are working together, and the family is ensuring your success, because the family is going to be feeling the change of a broken family, because the children will not be, the grandchildren will not have a whole lifestyle as a result.
Well, I don't know much about American culture, but for me, I know much about African culture. In terms of counseling that you said, gone of the days when our greats or maybe our forefathers were getting married to each other, they were not going for counseling. Now, the marriages that have so much counseling and so forth are the one that they are divorcing and so forth. It seems not working when they go for this counseling, and even sometimes some
Okay.
counselors
Yeah.
even end up getting married to the woman that the man has to send to the counselor to counsel it, and like it happens a whole lot in Africa. But don't you think in marriage there should be a common sense that we have to apply in marriage or maybe in a relationship?
Well, you said common. We have to be on common ground, first of all. It's like, why we're not just getting married because we just want to hug the person or have a child, but what is your purpose? What are your interests? Do you want to grow? Are you trying to build your economics together? Are you trying to have a vision, a common ground vision? Because you're not just married to the person, you're married to what they're doing, how they're doing, how's the economics, how do we sustain the family?
Right.
So innovation, for example, say I was talking to Queen Esther this morning about this. Say that the man has a business. The woman is drawn to him because she respects his business. Say she doesn't have business. If they want to have a tight, healthy relationship, she could come in and support his business. My father was a dental technician. That's an example. My father was a dental technician. As a result of his work, he was able to buy 3 brownstones in Brooklyn. The brownstones are not cheap. My mother married him, and when my mother married, my mother was a secretary for the government. My mother brought her skills to the relationship. She was a beautiful woman, but really, she had skills to keep things in order, to keep his records, to keep his books. One time, the Europeans wanted to try to take the house. My mother had everything in place, and they said, "Oh no, we can't take it. We can't steal the house away," because she kept the business, the records, everything. So that is strongly yoked. They are unified in raising the family. They had the wherewithal. As a result, my mother didn't have to go out and work. My mother worked for the business, which keeping my family business. And the children helped the house because the children, I was one of them, from time to time, would go and clean the other houses. Or we would come and clean, I was a little girl, would come and clean his office. So family love is also family business. Family love is also financial viability, because if you don't have finance, it causes a lot of stress and divide in the family. So if you have a vision and everybody comes together in that vision, you can build. And a lot of times our men are frustrated because they don't have the wherewithal to take care of their family. And then the woman is frustrated because she doesn't have the support, and she has the children, and then she may be working, all of that. So a lot of times it's common ground vision, common ground economics, and building with each other.
Well, thank you very much. But Queen, what are the most misconceptions that you have encountered in your holistic practices?
Oh, what happens is people think, well, I changed my diet, I'm better. When can I go back to living and eating the same poison I was eating before I was sick? What brought me to my sickness? So they look at sickness and wellness, this is temporary. I'm gonna just change enough to feel better. I'm gonna change enough to get rid of my headache. I'm gonna change enough to get my blood pressure down. And then when I get my blood pressure down, I get rid of the headache, the fibroid tumor, I dissolved it. I'm gonna go back to eating and living the same lifestyle. That means you're addicted. You're addicted to what caused the issue in the first place. So when people come to see me, I tell them that this is a lifestyle. When you come into a healthy lifestyle, it's like if you exercise just to get strong for a while to do an appearance, you're gonna hold up for a while and then you stop exercising because, oh, I
Right.
did that, I don't need it anymore. No, you have to exercise every day. You have to drink water every day. You have to take greens every day to build you up. You have to have some fruits every day. You have to have some beans and lentils and peas, avocados, cabbage. You have to have it as a regular way of life.
Right.
So if you could just say, I'm going into a lifestyle and I'm going to continue having a healthy lifestyle. I am 70 years old and I can do some of the same things I did in terms of movement that I did in my 20s. I used to be a martial artist. I used to be a dancer. Well, I teach yoga now and I use the same thing. So I keep exercising a bit every day, not just so I can feel better for the moment, so I can feel better for my life. So it's a lifestyle.
Wow. But what are the key practices that you do recommend to people that want to improve their overall well-being?
Okay. There is an exercise that I give to one. I say it's called You Do the Math. And it usually helps people to wake up. So I said, okay, I said, first of all, I tell them a list of foods that damage the body. And then I'll give them alternatives to those foods. They can have some of the foods that they enjoy and they're used to and they grew up with, but not to overdo any of it. So I'll say sugar, for example. If you take sugar on a long time over years, it will give you mood swings and depression. Take sugar over a long period of time, it can contribute to arthritis because sugar eats away at the bones, the brain, and the nervous system. So your sugar intake shows up when you're about in your 30s or 40s. Then all of a sudden you cannot remember. Or all of a sudden your knees give out. Or you get inflammation in your legs. One young sister today, she says, I can't walk. I can't get over to where the sand was. And I said, why? She says, I have poor circulation, extreme poor circulation. Well, that's because of the years of fast food, maybe fried foods, junk foods, meat, and all of that. So you have to cut back on these kinds of substances. So the first thing is to cut in half. the sugar. You may never do it all at one time, right? Cut in half the meat intake. So say you eat meat every single day. Well, then maybe you won't have pork and beef. Maybe you'll have chicken and fish as a start. Maybe one day you'll have the chicken and fish or fish, and then the next day you have black beans, black eyed peas, and cabbage and greens and salad. And the next day you'll have just fish, and the next day you'll have lentil soup and okra stew. And the next day, so alternate, start cutting everything in half and from the toxic foods. Say dairy, milk, cheese, ice cream, eggs. That causes asthma, shortness of breath, emphysema, bronchitis, colds, fibroids, and you don't know if you're eating the same illness.
Right.
So after a while, you have a disease now. They have to cut out the issue
Right.
or radiate it out where you can actually detox from it. So start cutting back in half. Write down all the foods that you take in normally and say, okay, if I take something 5 times that is toxic for me, I'm going to take it twice for the week.
Right.
Right? So that's cutting back. Also to liquefy the body. Most diseases people are dehydrated. So when you liquefy the body, you soften the congestion around your lungs and heart,
Right.
so you don't get heart palpitations.
Right.
When you liquefy the body, your legs stay fluid. So liquefying, and you can start making juices, fresh juice.
Wow.
If you have shortness of breath, you can take your pineapples. Pineapples break up congestion.
Absolutely.
Or oranges. Shortness, if you have constipation. I was a colon therapist for 15 years. And an average person can carry 5, 10, or 20 pounds of waste in their colons.
Ooh.
When the colon gets impacted, the waste backs up. You take the food in, but it's back up. So people throw up,
Yeah.
or people get boils, or people get nauseous, or headaches, or vertigo, because everything is backing up in their system. So now if they ate okra 3 or 4 times a week and put some onions in, some peppers in it, maybe some tomatoes in there, that will help the body to flush out.
Right.
The waste has to go downstream, not upstream. So if it sits in the system, bacteria builds up. When bacteria builds up, that's infection. When
Absolutely.
bacteria builds up, that's cancer. Things are backing up in your system and they stay there. Waste can stay in your body for days, weeks, months, and sometimes years. And the more waste you have in your system, the more back up. So it's important to clean out the colon. It's important to drink your water. It's important to cut back on foods that you know that makes you tired, irritable, short of some of the things I just mentioned. It's important to move every day. Don't sit, move, exercise, walk. Walk, run, bike, climb. Find some movement that keeps you focused. Also to study, to read. Keep your mind active. To read, to study. Your mind is a terrible thing to lose if you don't use your mind. Also trust that you have a gift. Everybody has a gift. And that gift is going to be such a great gift if you bring it out, that everybody's going to want your gift. When I was riding down the road, I was seeing different people doing different things.
Right.
Some was, I saw 3 or 4 brothers building caskets. I never saw anybody build a casket. I never saw it close up. I said, Queen Esther, look at that over there. Then somebody else is making food,
Right.
and people come to them. And somebody else is, they have like a little mini farm of food that they grew themselves.
Right.
So that is the kind of thing we have to just keep building on.
Absolutely.
And we have to know in our community where everything is. Who do we go to fix our shoes? That's what I see here more than anything.
Yeah.
In the United States, we don't really have that. We get lost in computer world.
Ooh.
You know, we don't get connected to each other.
Right.
So we don't even know whose gifts are what and where to go for what and who has it.
Yeah.
So all these are just ways to keep healthy. You know, that we have resources by being community.
Absolutely.
And you know, when people come from the States, they've studied technology and they bring money. They bring money to the country. What you have for us is culture and connectedness. So it's a healthy thing for us to exchange, not to stay isolated from each other. I'm here, How can I come here on the land and not connect to my born African brothers and sisters? Otherwise, we just a segregated community.
Right.
I have a cousin that I spoke to. He said, I hear you're going to Ghana. He said, oh, my cousin, I said, I have to remember my cousin is famous. He told me that. So he said, you know what, guess what, cuz? My family's from Louisiana. He says, I'm coming to Ghana too. I'm
Oh.
coming to live there. I'm going to come back and forth. And then at a certain time, me and my wife, we're going to retire there. I said, wherever you are, I want to be with you too.
Ah.
I was just so proud that my family, a family member of mine, wants to actually relocate to the motherland.
Right.
How and why? Marcus Garvey was my father's teacher.
Oh.
Not directly, but indirectly.
Okay.
Self-sustainable is what Marcus Garvey says, that we have to be sustainable. We have to have businesses.
Right.
We have to be able to heal each other. He had the nurses, and the nurses would help the community. That's what I'm teaching the women, how to be holistic. Not
Yeah.
nurses, but how to be holistic so we can heal our families, healing ourselves using nature's tools. So those sustainable concepts is what's going to help our relationships to grow. And that's our food. Food is not
Absolutely.
just what we eat. Food is the exchange that we have with one another.
Right.
Can we begin to have healthy exchanges and not be isolated
Right.
from what is best for us as a
Right.
people? So those who are here, we want you to embrace us more, right? And then those who come, we don't want you to feel isolated and by yourself. Because even yesterday, I saw more of the women who from the diaspora. They looked African. I thought some of my born African. I said, that's she. And she said, no, I'm from Atlanta.
Oh.
I'm from Chicago. But they look African. You don't say nothing to them.
Absolutely.
It's, so yeah.
Well, Queen, there are a whole lot of black women that are into holistic wellness. But what is so special about you that black women carry you higher than all the other black women that are practicing this holistic and wellness? What is so special about you?
As I said, the way I was raised, but also because I have a great love for my people. When I came here 20-some years ago, I didn't come with a group. I didn't come as a tour. I came by myself because I came to live.
Right.
And then I went to go to the slave castle. So Joe Mensa took me to the slave castle, and he left me here for 2 or 3 days. I stayed at a hotel, and I went to the slave castle, and I got a lot of information. I didn't have a tour guide. I was just left to go and walk in the slave castle. So I said, ooh, my people. The women, I saw the dungeon, and I saw the thickness of their fecal matter as hardened.
Yeah.
And there's no lights there. And food was thrown in. If you ate, you ate. If you didn't, you died. And some women were pregnant when they were stolen and put in there. Some women had their menstrual flow in there. And there were men in another area, the same thing. And so my love from that, I don't believe the word fall in love, but I began to love my people on such a high level. And it had me to say, no matter what they go through or how they react to me, I am going to love them to the ends of the earth. I made a commitment. Because if someone has been beaten and raped, and I can see it, and I can see the slave ships, and then I could see the door of no return. I saw it and how we was dropping. I think about Bob Marley, and we were dropped into the bottomless pit. And we see images of us, we were stacked up like sardines and chained. And then sometimes in the day, we was able to come upstairs and see some light, and they'll throw water on us and disrespect us. And they take some of the women, the ones who ran the ship, and they would rape the women. And 3 months up in the dungeon, 3 months or more on a ship to go. Some went to the Caribbean, some dropped off in the UK, some dropped off to the United States, and then 400 years, 8 generations of more rape, more abuse, more. What can I do for my people? I would do anything. So I have such an incredible love for my people, so I hug them, I listen to their pain. I tell them what they could do to relieve that pain, whether they take a healing bath or burn frankincense and myrrh or forgive their parents. Or, you know, I just work with them. I have gathered so much in my 54 years of what to say and what to do, but I have respect for them.
Right.
I have high respect for the mothers, the elder mothers. When they come to me for healing, this is how I come to them.
Well,
High respect.
can you share one successful story about changing somebody?
Well, it happened yesterday. They come to me all the time. There was a mother in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yes, and she said, Queen Afua, you helped my daughter could not conceive. She says it in front of everybody loud.
Ooh.
And she said, she went on your detox, because that's a lot of my work is detoxification, healing, using plant-based. She went and she gave a month. She said she went on the detox around February. She said 3 months later, she was able to conceive. And I was able to have my grandchild. Now my grandchild has a baby, and now I'm a great-grandmother. So I hear a lot of those stories, women who could not conceive before, women who are on the brink of surgery. So that was a very loud statement. So my work is every time I come out, someone will come to me and tell me a story of their healing, a story of their recovery. When I work with Sacred Women, Man Heal Thyself, there are couples that have given up on each other. And once the woman starts healing and the man starts to heal, and they're doing it separate, but they're really living the same natural life, that they're learning the same holistic principles, all of a sudden they have better communication. All of a sudden they have more respect for each other. All of a sudden the loud voices are no more yelling in the household, no more cursing at each other, no more rolling the eyes, and no more you sleep in one part of the house and you sleep in the other part of the house, because that's the divorce already. Once they go through a cleansing and a healing, a heart opens up, medicine takes place, and so a lot of couples come and they begin to reestablish themselves. I even had one young child yesterday. She said, I started reading your book when I was 12. She's now, what age is it? She's 17 now.
Yeah, 17.
Yes, and she was so gracious. That young child, no, she was 16. She said, I prepare food. I'm a chef from reading your book. So she's making her income. She gave me her business card. She gave me a little gift to thank me. And she was so all put together, so mature.
Right.
I feel like I raised her because she's so together. And I met her mother. Her mother was so proud. Her mother was healing. So I heal families. I don't heal individuals so much. And when one woman comes to me, I tell her, this is my motto. My work, no matter how you look at it, it is to create a healer in every family. Hold that. And to create a wellness center in every home. So can you imagine that this a healer, and the women are the primary healers of the house. When we don't know that we can heal, if your man is stressed out, you know how to make him a tea of chamomile or hops or valerian or hyssop. If your man has high blood pressure, you can give him dandelion, some burdock. So you don't have to, he doesn't have to be sick.
Right.
If he is with a woman who knows how to be a healer and is activating her healing principles, she is a God gift to him. And she can keep him well so she can have a healthy, loving, kind man who will give her the greatest honor. So to be married to, that's the virtuous woman. To be married to a woman such as that,
Wow.
you are gifted. And she will bring her gifts. And her gifts are so broad, so he will then want to give that back.
Oh.
So as we create a greater value of ourselves as women, and the men create a greater value and wellness, then when we come together, we have power now.
Queen, you definitely have made impact in people's life. You've changed people's life. You've done so well. I know this holistic industry is not a small industry. How do you keep yourself informed with new trends? How do you update yourself on the current issues that are going or maybe moving along the world now?
Well, for me personally, I've had my product line out for 35 years. My mother passed at 100 last year, and she and my children are the ones who manage the factory, our homegrown factory. We produce a formula called the Green Life Nutritional Formula. It's been out for 35 years to repair the memory, the energy, the vitality. I create the formulas and they manufacture, they got the shipping, and I give workshops. And I create another formula, which is Master Herbal, to detoxify cravings. I create another formula for pain, which is a clay compound, and you put on gauze overnight, the knees, the bones start to repair. I create another formula for respiratory. So the formulas that I've created covers 108 diseases. So if you take any one of my formulas, it carries many powerful healing tools to the body. So I take my own formulas and I carry my formulas with me because I know what they do for healing the body. The state of the world is the state of the people.
All right.
Right? So if the people heal, then the state of the world heals. So that is how I approach it. For example, when the pandemic hit, people was calling me up like, oh my gosh, Queen, we need to do what you're telling us to do. They start to realize this is the moment you have to really wake up and take responsibility for your well-being.
Right.
That nobody's gonna take care of you better than you take care of you.
Absolutely.
So I got a call from Black Girls Rock. You might know of them, Beverly Bond. And she's had many magnificent concerts with high-end celebrities. And she called me up frightened. She said, Queen, we in our community don't know what to do. We're frightened. People are dying. It was very tragic how she came to me. And she said, could you come on an interview and tell us some things that could be done? And I said, I know exactly what to do to boost up the immune system, because that's all it was, the immune system and respiratory system. So I know exactly what to do. So I created protocols, it's still on my website, you can find it. 9 protocols to boost up your immune system. Now, all the sacred women and all the women in the detox program, they trained with me. So as a result, they knew what to do. And guess what happened? People were calling them up. And they were saying, what should I do? So they weren't just calling me up. My students knew what to do. So they were able to help their mothers, their fathers, their grandmothers, their mates, the same way that I was able to help others. And so the state of affairs is the powers in the people. Back in the 60s, that's what we said, all power to the people.
Right.
So we have to get back to, we can't wait for the political world to save us. We cannot wait for the medical world to save us. We have to save ourselves. And if we save ourselves, then disease can spread out of ignorance. Wellness can spread out of knowledge. So the more knowledge that we have to take care of our lives, to take care of our health, body, mind, spiritually, socially, economically, then we create the laws. So if you find that there's injustice in the system, you are the system.
Right.
You are the ultimate. You start to come into alignment. You start to heal your mind, your emotions, your relationships, what you say, that's passed into your family. And it will be families, through a radical healing of families, then the whole social structure shifts. And we have no more fear, because oftentimes disease is strengthened with people in fear because they don't have answers.
Queen, Africans need to be healed too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Africans need to be healed too as well. They also need to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, when are you moving to Africa to come stay here so that you can also help people within Africa that also have issues with their mental and their emotional stuffs? When are you moving to Africa? When are you planning to come heal people in Africa permanently?
Well, it's happening. It's starting to happen already. As I said, I was here 25 years ago. This is my 6th time coming to Ghana. This is probably the strongest. I'm getting ready to meet with the vice president of Ghana 3 days from now.
Wow.
So I'm not doing it. The Most High said, this is the time. I'm listening, and a way has been made. My dear friend Queen Esther, we here on the same mission. She's here living. She said, when I came here a few years, she said, Queen, this is your room upstairs. This is your bathroom. The kitchen is down here. So she said, this is your house. Okay, good. I'm gonna make the food tonight. So I'm living here too, right?
Yeah.
So this is the vision. The sacred women, there's 100 sacred women getting ready to start the rites of passage with me. Learn how to be a healer, to take care of themselves and their family. They will graduate in the first week of August. Here on this land, there are 12 young girls who say, I don't have the finance, I don't have the wherewithal, I don't have support. We have to get them scholarships. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 12 elders that are here that have the wherewithal, and then they pay much less than what they pay in the States.
Wow.
And whatever they pay, those dollars stay here on the land. They don't go to America.
Right.
They stay in the land, they stay in this bank, they stay within the community. And that becomes our seed money
Right.
to begin to grow my work here. To grow, that's my heart's desire, to grow the vision here. So my prayer is when I speak to, and we sit as a group, collective, a few days from now, to the vice president, she says, I will support you. We want two supports. We want her to be our keynote for August, and we come with 100 women. And the 12 young girls who are going to in their 20s and 30s, we want them to get a scholarship. They'll be graduating together.
Wow.
I teach online. The graduation, we have 3 days, we do this together. So the drums will be at the airport. It will be so pandemonium. Pandemonium, yes. We're coming as a force.
You know, a Ghanaian man will say massive.
Massive. Massive. I love that. And that to me, when the women come in with celebrating and our culture, and the elders will come from the land here and then bless us. And then we just have that connection. So that's the vision. You know, there's a song that was written in 1969. It said the Creator has a master plan by Pharaoh Sanders. And that is my theme song since 1969 to now, that the Creator has a divine plan for us if we pay attention and listen. And I wrote a book called Impeccable Listening, which is, we could ask a question. So Most High, you have everything. Tell me how to live. Tell me what to do. Is this my mate? Is this what I should do? And when you hear it, you practice listening, you'll be guided. I got up this morning at 4 o'clock, 4:30, and I came outside because I wanted to hear. I said, Most, I can't hear in this room right now. I have some questions. I check in with God, the Most High. All of my rage, I always check in now. The older I get, the more I check in. When I was young, I didn't always check in. So then I'll fall on my face, things will not work out, problems will come, but now I've got wise. That's what age will give.
Right.
And I said, Most High, what should I do about this, that? I said, Most High, I'm here on this land. What should I do? How should I do?
Right.
The young girls, they come to me while here and they start crying on me. They say, oh, fool, I don't know what to do. Just yesterday, I gave the talk about our hearts and our attitudes and how we speak to each other and all that. We have to change those attitudes. And I went upstairs to get a treatment from one of the healers there. He said, Queen, I want to thank you. I brought my wife here. He is from the diaspora. She's African born. He said, I brought my wife here so she could hear you, so she could be with you, so she could be the sacred woman. And so when he said that, he said, thank you so much. Now we're gonna. She came and told me, Queen, I told my husband, please forgive me. I'm not going to be mean anymore. I'm not going to be mean at our children and be short patient. I'm going to stop that. And could you also stop being mean back to me? They worked that out. I just gave a workshop. We did dramas. I said, I want two women to come together. I want one woman to come and say nothing but negative things. And this is a drama. The other one, I want you to say positive things and try to heal her mind from being so negative. So they did that drama, and the women could see what that looks like, how they look. Oh, I'm always complaining. I'm always angry. I'm always having a sour face. And then the other one was so positive, started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, started giving her encouraging words. So we have to learn how to be, how to talk to each other. Because if our mothers, our fathers was angry, it's pathology. It's passed down through the bloodline. It's in our DNA.
Yeah, okay.
Our state of health is from our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the doctors say, tell me your family history.
Right.
So if your family had diabetes and high blood pressure, and you're eating the same way, thinking the same way, feeling the same way, you're going to have it, and then your children's children will have it. But what happens when the family member begins to heal? Then it's not passed down.
Right.
Health and wellness is passed down as opposed to disease.
Well, my final 3 questions that I want to ask you, I think I will add the 3 together, but one will be a very difficult one to put you on your toes.
What would be a difficult question?
One question will be a difficult one to put you on your toes.
Will put me on my toes?
Yes.
You want to ask me the question?
Yeah, I want to ask you. It's going to be a difficult one.
It's a difficult one?
Very, very difficult.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. Well, my first question is, we're living in Africa, Ghana precised. How do we patronize your book? Because, you know, in Ghana, it's very difficult sometimes buying things online from America.
Oh,
so
I have the answer already. Can I give you the answer?
All right.
Online. You can get it online.
So
you don't have to. It's audio. I have an audio book.
Okay, so audio book. But what if the person wants the hard copy?
Oh, well, so now you say
So,
that's why the audio is important.
Right.
The hard copy. Well, Queen Esther will be carrying my products and books. You have to build that up because you know we have to eventually put it in the freight and put it on the boat. That's a deeper commitment. So what happens is, if we can get support for those 12 young girls, that becomes a part of our bank, right? That stays here. Then we can purchase books. Queen Esther can purchase books and products and things we need so that we can bring things in easier. If we have to put on a boat, it's going to take us 2 months. I'm not sure how long it takes.
Absolutely.
But in that process, once you get one going, you can get another one going.
Okay.
And I came here, I think about 4 years ago. And I got a chance to speak to the government. And the government was interested in my product line. And I went through 3 stages until I met with the one, I don't remember his name, but the one who was the right hand of the president.
Yeah.
And he had a meeting with us.
Nana Bedietu. Nana Bedietu.
Thank you. And so he said, tell me, it wasn't easy. He's a strong spirit. What is it that you have to offer Africans, you know? So I gave him my talk and I gave him samples of my product. And I said, here's my breath of life. He said, huh, okay. He felt it immediately. Then I gave him my nutrients. He looked at it and he took some of them like that. And then he said, okay, at that time, he said, I will make you the ambassador of Ghana, of wellness.
Wow.
That was a moment. Now what happened is I was only there for 9 days.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to come back.
Right.
But I had to go. So sometime when you go like that, you don't have somebody rooted here, things can fall apart.
Right.
This will be my second coming.
Okay.
Or really my third coming.
Wow.
So every time it gets a bit stronger and then the connectivity gets stronger because I have to be in the States and I have to be here.
Wow.
So I have to condition myself to travel, but when I travel, I have to leave something.
Absolutely.
So I'm leaving some product with Queen Esther.
Oh, okay.
Right? So that's how we're going to start building up. You know, it's like you put a seed in the ground and you keep watering it. Eventually you'll get plants like the trees all around us. So this is what we're doing. We're putting the seeds into the ground of wellness.
My second question. I know Efua is a Ghanaian name. Efua is an Akan name. How did you get a name?
Well, because I was raised in culture. I was raised in Brooklyn in African culture. To the point where my children went to African cultural schools. And I have well, she's now an ancestor. Her name was Empress Okweke. She said she was decked out in culture. She studied culture, she taught culture, and at that time I taught dance. I taught African dance in Brooklyn. And she said, because I was on my way to come to Ghana, she said, you must take on your name. It was actually two people, Baba Ishange. Baba Ishange, he danced for the United Nations, his family. He was from Philadelphia, but you would think he was born and raised in Ghana. His tone, his dress, his food, his whole way. He was well loved, respected in America. So he said, you are a fua.
Wow.
He gave that to me. Okay, I thank you.
That
That you have to get your rights, your name, your culture, right? And then Empress Okweke said, you must take on Queen Afua.
Queen Afua.
So it was the masculine principle that said Afua.
Yes.
And then the feminine
Queen
principle said
Afua.
Queen.
Afua.
Now I took on Afua with ease. But when it came to Queen, that was a bit too much because I know people couldn't handle me saying I'm Queen.
Right.
But how I accepted the Queen is that I am to help the women to become their own queen of their own home.
Right. You needed
just
to
like the
make
king
an
of the
impact.
home.
Yeah. You needed to make an impact.
So I had no choice but to accept it because who gave it to me, I received it. I was born Helen Robinson by parents. But Helen represents the sun. And I was born in August. So everything even has a purpose, even if you're unconscious.
Yeah.
So that is how I took it on, I received it. And I had to learn to walk in that queenly way.
Wow.
But my parents treated me well as a child. I wasn't treated just any kind of way.
Right.
So it was easy for me to, my parents had two sons, but they wanted a daughter. Both of them wanted a daughter.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know that until years later, while my brothers are jealous. So they wanted a daughter, so they really catered to my way and kept me very close to the house. It was very under heavy manners.
My final question. You've been in Ghana for a very long time. Let me see. You've been coming and going back. So this back and forth. At least you have tasted local Ghanaian food.
I have a southern tongue.
Well,
there's a different tongue.
Well,
you don't have a southern tongue.
Well,
right?
Right.
Okay. So your southern tongue you don't have, so you won't probably like southern food, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have a Ghanaian tongue yet. I have a spirit of it.
Well.
So I have to work that in.
Well.
But at the same time, I have to study the food here more and the preparation of food because I can't have fried foods.
Okay.
No matter who prepares it, whether it be a southern taste, because I don't eat southern food. Right? I don't eat southern food and I don't eat Ghanaian food.
Right.
But I eat the creator's food. Before we do anything to it, before we fry it, before we add fat to it, before we add grease to it, I eat basically salad, greens.
So
I can graze off the land. I eat beans, I eat peas, I eat black-eyed peas, I eat black beans. I don't eat cassava, I don't eat starch. Because that's why some of the men have maybe a big stomach because there's so much starch. That starch doesn't just starch up your clothes, it can starch up your colon. So I will have the tomatoes that are here. I would have the pineapples that are grown here. I could have the watermelons that are here. I can have the onions, the red onions. I can have the salad that is here. Those are the foods that I can eat. I don't eat like normal vegetarians either. Normal vegetarians eat a lot of heavier proteins and heavier starches, and I don't eat any of that.
Guys, I think Queen is trying to dodge this very question. But no matter what it is, we will still ask. Queen have been in Ghana for 5 or maybe 6 couple of times. At least you've mingled with Ghanaians, not diasporas. You have mingled with so many Ghanaians. You are
I
about
lived
to,
in the house.
Yes, you are even about to meet the first female vice president of Ghana. Who she is, a Fanti. So definitely, language is a key.
Okay.
This is your camera. I want you to look into your camera and close this very interview in Fanti or Chi.
Now, how do I do that? You have to teach me.
Well, I'm not going to teach you because this is your 6th time in Ghana.
Oh.
So most definitely,
Yes.
you need to take it by your chest and learn how to speak the Ghanaian language since you are moving back to Ghana. So close the interview in Fanti or Chi. Let's go.
Okay.
I told you it's a difficult one.
No, that is the most difficult one. Without knowledge, you have no power. So I would say this.
Okay.
I am so receptive to learning the ways. I must learn the language because the language is how we communicate.
Yeah.
So it is important that I learn from my Ghanaian family. So will you teach me? I'm Queen Afu. I will teach you what I know. So to teach you how to heal yourself, will you teach me the language? And it's so deep because when I came here years ago, I went into the village to get my okra and my onions and my tomatoes and all that. And there was a woman that was there. She said, I want you to meet my brother. Because she asked me, why am I even here? I said, I'm here to bring the wellness. She said, I know, but you must meet my brother.
Right.
Right, it was that. I said, okay, but I need to learn the language. She said, well, I'll teach you the language.
Absolutely.
So she came to the house to learn the language. But Joe Mensa said, why you take somebody from this village and bring him to my house? He's in a high level home. I said, because she wanted to teach me the language. So I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the Ghanaians to teach me the language. It is all your fault that I don't know the language. So I'm open now.
Yeah, so guys, as you can see, Queen is here in Ghana. Queen will be leaving soon. You know, I am so honest to have Queen on my show. So as you are watching, Queen, do you have any final words that you want to put out there for people that are watching you on my channel?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to interview me. It was extraordinary.
Thank you very much.
And continued success because communication is the key.
Right.
What I want to say is that the reason why I am here is for unity. And so from the food, right, to the language, to now the communication on this level, that I feel I'm making some inroads. It takes time. You have to, whatever vision that you have to be prepared to do the work.
Right.
Plant the seed, whatever that may be. If you were looking for mental healing, physical healing, spiritual healing, relationship healing, healing your home, healing for the women, your wombs, for our men and our women, our hearts, our emotional bodies. You have to plant the seed and say yes to your life. And once you can plant that seed, you will water the garden. And eventually, you will get your fruits. So let's all get our fruit so that we can be healthy and vibrant. And we can work and build each other. From the diasporans to those who are born here, may we be unified in our new seed planting in our growth. That is my quest.
You know, Queen said it all. So, guys, we just want unity. We just want to bridge gaps.
Yeah.
We just want to promote Africa. We just want to, unite everybody in this world. So, as you're watching, we'll put Queen's information on our YouTube description. Make sure you patronize Queen. Make sure you buy stuff from her website and so forth. So, as usual, this is your regular guy, Clevy Joe. Thank you for watching and keep sharing our video. Bye-bye.